The evening of October 21st, 1978 began like any other. A young pilot, Frederick Valentich, 20 years old, was preparing for a routine training flight over Bass Strait in Australia. He radioed air traffic control in Melbourne before takeoff, his voice clear and confident, unaware he was broadcasting his final words. He was reporting on a Cessna 182L light aircraft, a familiar sight in the twilight sky. The flight was from Moorabbin to King Island, a short hop, but one that would etch itself into aviation history. What began as a normal flight quickly became something unnerving. Air traffic controller Steve Roby listened, his attention keen, as Valentich described what he saw. A large, unknown aircraft was shadowing him, playing an unnerving aerial chase. The transcript of their conversation would become a chilling document, a testament to events that defied explanation. This was not a distress call born of panic, but of growing unease. Valentich's calm, almost clinical reports quickly deteriorated into fear as the unknown object closed in. The detailed account of this terrifying aerial encounter serves as our starting point. But what happened to Valentich's flight path? And before we dive deeper, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. These mysteries aren't random, and if this video found you, it was meant to. Now, let's go. Valentich's Cessna VHDSJ took off at 6:19 p.m. local time. His destination, King Island, lay less than an hour's flight away. He reported reaching Cape Otway at 7 p.m., everything proceeding as expected. Then, at 7:06 p.m., the first chilling transmission came. Valentich reported an unfamiliar aircraft, large and fast, passing about 1,000 feet above him. It was a detail that immediately raised questions, as no other air traffic was reported in the area. He described it as having 4 bright lights, almost like landing lights, but it was not a conventional plane. The object moved with incredible speed and agility, appearing to orbit his Cessna. Roby, the controller, checked with others, but there was no confirmation, no radar signature of anything else in the sky. The pilot's voice, initially professional, began to fray. He reported engine trouble, a rough idling, just after the object sped past him. Was the unknown craft interfering with his aircraft? This unsettling observation leads us directly to the profound connection between the pilot and the intricate systems that governed his flight. Frederick Valentich was no novice pilot. He held a Class 4 instrument rating, meaning he was trained for night flying and instrument-only conditions. His experience, though relatively short, involved close to 150 hours of flying time. He was known for thorough pre-flight checks and precision in his reports. This wasn't a case of pilot error or disorientation. Valentich understood his aircraft and the air traffic control protocols intimately. His transmissions were detailed, even as fear began to creep into his voice. He reported the object's metallic sheen, its lack of identifiable features, and its bizarre movements. He was a trusted observer, relaying critical data to the ground. The system, the intricate web of radar and communication that guided air traffic, showed nothing. This glaring discrepancy between a trained pilot's eyewitness account and the silent radar screens forces us to ask, what exactly was in the sky that night? Valentich's description of the object grew more urgent. "It's not an aircraft," he said, the words heavy with confusion. He detailed its long shape, a green light and a metallic casing. He observed it hovering above him, then disappearing rapidly, only to reappear on the other side. This erratic, impossible movement defied known aeronautical principles. The object was toying with him, or perhaps conducting a close inspection. The final, terrifying reports described the object again directly above him, hovering. Then silence. A transmission of a metallic scraping sound was the last thing heard. The sound, later analyzed, remains unidentified. It was not a conventional aircraft noise, nor was it static. This inexplicable auditory signature points to a profound mystery, leading us to investigate the forbidden frequency itself. The final moments of contact are enshrined in aviation legend. After Valentich reported the object hovering directly over his plane, there was a sudden, jarring burst of static. This wasn't ordinary radio static. Experts who later analyzed the tape described it as a series of rapid, rhythmic pulses, metallic in nature. It lasted for precisely 17 seconds. Then, absolute silence. Valentich, his plane, and the unknown object vanished. No distress beacon, no wreckage, no oil slick was ever found in the extensive search that followed. The radio frequency went dead as if a plug had been pulled. It was an abrupt, complete cessation of communication. This profound silence following such a bizarre interaction suggests not just a loss, but an interception. The implications of such a silence often point to unseen hands and hidden truths, bringing us to the role of government blackout. Immediately following Valentich's disappearance, search and rescue operations were launched. The Royal Australian Air Force scoured the Bass Strait for days, but found nothing. No wreckage, no debris, no sign of the Cessna or its pilot. Official reports concluded cause unknown. However, local residents and even some search personnel reported strange activity immediately after the incident. Talk of unusual military presence and quick suppression of information spread like wildfire. Witnesses claimed to have seen unidentified lights in the sky in the vicinity of Bass Strait, both before and immediately after Valentich's flight. These accounts were largely dismissed or ignored by official inquiries. The incident was quickly labeled a tragic, yet ultimately unsolved, disappearance. The systematic downplaying of unusual sightings and the swift closure of the investigation hints at a larger pattern, one that manifests not just in individual cases, but in the recurring phenomena observed directly above Bass Strait. The Bass Strait region has a long history of unexplained aerial phenomena. Long before Valentich's disappearance, local fishermen and coastal residents reported strange lights and objects moving silently across the sky. These weren't isolated incidents. Multiple reports from commercial pilots and civilian observers describe fast-moving, non-conventional craft. Some described them as cigar-shaped, others as bright discs. These sightings often occurred at night, silently traversing vast distances. After Valentich's case, these reports continued, sometimes with a heightened sense of urgency. The collective memory of unexplained events in this specific airspace is undeniable, forming a local lore that defies simple meteorological explanations. The consistent nature of these observations suggests that Valentich's encounter was not an isolated aberration, but part of a larger, unexplained pattern that has been witnessed globally. Valentich's case echoes across a chilling global pattern of airborne sarajems. Throughout aviation history, numerous aircraft have vanished without a trace, often under mysterious circumstances. These aren't just crashes. These are complete evaporations. Consider the Bermuda Triangle, a notorious region for inexplicable disappearances, often involving aircraft. Or the Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 mystery, where a modern airliner simply disappeared from radar, leaving almost no trace. The common threads are often the same: sudden silence, no distress calls, and an absence of wreckage. Pilots, often highly trained, report anomalies before vanishing. Strange lights, mechanical failures coinciding with unusual aerial activity, and inexplicable communication breakdowns. These incidents challenge conventional explanations and create a landscape of unsettling parallels. These recurring themes suggest that skeptics grapple not just with individual cases, but with an underlying enigma that defies easy categorization. The official explanation for Valentich's disappearance typically floats theories of disorientation, suicide, or a deliberate hoax. Skeptics point to the lack of physical evidence, suggesting a crash into the turbulent waters of Bass Strait. They propose spatial disorientation could have led him to fly upside down, misidentifying stars for lights. However, these explanations struggle to account for the detailed, evolving observations Valentich provided. His calm, almost scientific descriptions of the object before panic set in contradict the idea of an immediate mental breakdown. The metallic scraping sound heard before, the silence also defies a simple crash theory. The persistent anecdotal evidence of strange occurrences in the area also challenges the simplistic dismissals. The shadow of doubt cast by unexplained elements in these cases often lingers, even after official inquiries close. The gap between official narratives and persistent anomalies often points to an underlying narrative of interference and interception, a phenomenon felt keenly in this particular case. Valentich reported his engine running rough and coughing after the unknown object passed over him. This is a critical detail. Was the object somehow interfering with his aircraft's systems? Electromagnetic pulse or some unknown energy signature could account for such an effect. Some theories suggest advanced technology capable of disrupting aircraft engines and communications. The abrupt cessation of his radio transmission, followed by the metallic static burst, could be more than just a coincidence. It implies an active shutdown. If an unknown entity had the capacity to interfere with the plane's engine and radio, the simple notion of a crash becomes less plausible. It points to a more deliberate, perhaps even controlled, event. This leads us to consider the chilling possibility of direct contact, or its echoes. Valentich's final transmission, detailing the object hovering directly above him, followed by the metallic rasp, profoundly changed the nature of his disappearance. It wasn't just a plane lost. It was a conversation cut short, a potential direct interaction severed mid-sentence. What if that strange sound wasn't static, but an attempt at communication, or a final, desperate struggle against an overwhelming force? The implications are vast and disturbing. His case stands as one of the most credible accounts of a possible direct encounter with an unexplained craft. His words live on as a chilling echo, a testament to a truth that was never allowed to fully surface. This disturbing proximity to the unknown, so meticulously documented by Valentich himself, might be the very reason why this case was so aggressively suppressed. The briskness with which the Valentich case was categorized as cause unknown and effectively shelved raised eyebrows. The lack of open investigation into the myriad of unusual details, from the metallic scraping sound to the local reports of strange lights, has fueled suspicions for decades. Was the lack of resolution a failure of investigation or a deliberate omission? Some believe the government sought to avoid panic or to prevent public inquiry into sensitive aerial phenomena. A direct admission of an unknown, highly advanced aerial presence would have profound implications for national security and public perception. The suppression of information, the quick dismissal of eyewitness accounts, and the swift conclusion indicate a larger agenda at play. It suggests this incident tapped into something they preferred to keep hidden. This suppression is a recurring motif, hinting that the pattern was never random. Frederick Valentich's disappearance is not an isolated incident. It is a thread in a much larger, more intricate tapestry of unexplained aerial phenomena and vanishing acts around the globe. The official silence, the strange anomalies, the reports of unusual objects, these are not coincidences. They are elements of a pattern, a series of events that defy conventional understanding and challenge our perception of what is truly in our skies. The recurring characteristics across these cases, from the sudden silence to the lack of wreckage, suggest a deliberate, intelligent factor at play. These disappearances are not accidents. They hint at a systematic, perhaps even strategic agenda by an unknown intelligence. The ongoing silence surrounding these events is perhaps the most telling detail of all, echoing the profound questions that linger about our place in the universe. The lingering questions about Valentich serve as a chilling reminder that some patterns connect to deeply unsettling truths. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'll see you in the next one.